Greetings, dear teachers, and hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. After a gap of almost a month, here we are again with our next Sanchalana module. This November month, we will be looking at experiential activities, part 3. As you all know, we've already completed two parts, and this is a continuation. Before we go into our module, we'd like to go through the learning outcomes that we'll be catering to in our module. As you all know, our modules are primarily divided into grammar, prose, and poetry. This month, we will be dealing with adverbs of frequency, preposition, and relative pronouns when it comes to grammar. And for prose, we will be learning on how to teach children to answer coherently to the day to day questions they come in their lives. And for poetry, we will be learning of how to share and recite and learn a poem. Here, our school. Now that we are going into our module, we'd like to take a few takeaways to our classrooms. And those are a few grammar explainer videos, grammar worksheets, and audiovisual resources for prose and poetry. But in order for us to use these resources, we need you, the teacher. And it is one among you who will be transacting our module for the day. Welcome to Miss Nina's classroom. Here she is. Hello, teachers. Welcome to my classroom. Oh, and this is my pet, Chinnanamma Swami Bekko. I have an interesting lineup of activities planned for my learners today. We are going to do prose poetry and some grammar activities. All the activities we are going to do in class today are going to help learners acquire language skills through experience. Like you, I also try to bring the best teaching learning approaches to my classroom. I believe learning by experience is the best method of learning. The same goes for language. We can say that language learning happens in a process, something like this. We first get exposed to the language, and that is exposure. Next, we form connections with the prior knowledge that we already have, and we try to make sense of the new language that is exposed to us. Then we practice, and the trial and practice circle starts. We try it out on everyone we meet and talk to. And then we get a little bit of assistance from our facilitators or teachers, and a clarification process also starts. So, the assist and clarify is part of the process of language learning. But that does not end here. It goes on and on in cycles until we move from one new learning to the other. Today, we are going to look at some experiential approaches to language learning through some hands on activities. Feel free to try any of these activities in your classroom. My first task is teaching prose. Today, I'm teaching my learners the lesson A Chat with a Grasshopper. We all know that apart from helping learners read the lesson, it is important for them to comprehend the text. I find that just practicing reading doesn't help my learners comprehend the lesson. I know this by asking my learners reflective questions. I have read that one way to boost comprehension of a text is to help my learners retell a story. A wonderful way to help learners develop the skill to retell the story is through visualization. One of the benefits when learners create mental pictures of stories, concepts, or ideas is that it helps them remember the information much better. This is a great technique we can use to help learners improve their memory of a story and then retell it. Let's see a demonstration of this from our dear friend Mrs. Samara and her student. Mrs. Samara uses a visualization technique called Stop, Draw, Share. In this technique, she selects certain stop points in her text, especially after visual descriptions, and dots them. For example, here she placed a dot next to the word park. Like this, she has dotted many areas of the text that have visual descriptions for learners to imagine what is happening in the story. As she is reading, she stops at each dot and asks learners to draw what they have imagined. Let's see what happens when she does this. An extract from the chapter A Chat with a Grasshopper. Raju tells the grasshopper, after observing the body, Hoppy, we have 2 ears. Do you also have ears? To which Hoppy replies, I don't have ears like you, but the antenna helps me to pick up vibrations from the air and the ground. Ramya asked the grasshopper, Hoppy, I'm very hungry. Rani, Raju, Ani and I are going out for lunch. Would you like to join us for lunch? To which Hoppy replies, No, I won't eat idlis, dosa, rice or chapati like you. I eat plants, wheat, oat, corn and barley. Like this, the learners in her classroom have created a lot of pictures that relate to the story they have heard. Now, she asked them to use the pictures and narrate the story back to her. I tried this in my classroom. Here is what happened.
Once, a group of children went to park. There they met a grasshopper.
Raj here has drawn a few images in his book and is showing the rest of the class what he has drawn and narrating the story accordingly. Raj may not remember every detail, but he will remember the big events and character in the text. Without knowing it, Raj is already making his own interpretation of the text and expressing his views of the characters and events through his drawings and his narration.
The grasshopper will flying.
You see, Raj may not be using correct English, or he may say some words in Kannada, but that is okay. We are focusing on his comprehension here. Once he is able to comprehend the text and speak about it, I can give him language inputs. My learners are getting ready for poetry. Let's begin. This month, we are working on our poetry intonation skills. Having practiced our intonation in the last few weeks, this week we are going to work on a very important function of poetry recitation: pronunciation. Pronunciation is not only important in poetry, but it is a crucial skill to have in order to speak English fluently. I have picked the poem The Cow to recite with my learners, but there are some complicated words for them to pronounce in there. I reached out to my dear friend Mrs. Samara for help. She told me about a very interesting approach to learning called the multisensory approach. Listen to what she told me.
Everyone, including learners, have their own way of learning. Think about how people learn to cook a new dish. Some prefer writing the recipe, while others prefer watching someone make it. It's not about being good or bad at learning. It's about how different individuals use different ways to learn. In classrooms, this means students have different learning styles. But because there are many students and limited time, it's tough to understand each one's unique way of learning. That's where a methodology like multi-sensory approach helps. It uses different senses while learning, like seeing, hearing, and touching, in order to make learning more effective in a classroom. This approach says students learn better when information is shown in various ways. It involves activities like tracing, listening, writing, and looking at things.
I thought this was a very interesting idea. So I asked her how I could use this approach to improve my students' pronunciation in class. She showed me a very interesting pronunciation activity using something called a sensory board. It makes learners use touch to trace letters and learn sounds to learn pronunciation. I know what you're thinking, dear teachers. Sensory board? Is this going to be complicated to do? That's what I thought. However, it is not complicated at all. With only two simple household items, she showed me how to create a board and get started. Let's watch how we can create a sensory board and help learners practice pronunciation.
Now let's see how we can use the multisensory approach to teach pronunciation, which is vital for poetry and reading. Now let's learn to pronounce the word wanders. W, a, n.
Na.
Now you say it.
Wa. na.
One. Now let's continue with the word. The next pronunciation is d.
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 R.
R.
S.
R.
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 S.
S.
Ers.
Ers.
Very good. Let's do the entire word together. W. A. N. D. A. R. S. Wanders. Now, can you do it like the way I did?
W. A. N. D. A. R. S. Wanders.
Wasn't that simple? You can try this with any fine grain available in your home. Guess what? I have created a pronunciation corner in my classroom so I can teach my learners pronunciation at any time. What other language learning exercises can you use the sensory board for? Discuss with your friends and let us know. We have finally reached our grammar class. Grammar topics make us nervous. Don't worry. With a little bit of understanding and some transaction ideas, we can make our grammar classrooms an interactive language learning experience. This time, my learners and I are taking a deep dive into the world of pronouns and prepositions. Come along with us. Pronouns. I have a cat named Chinnu Nammaswamy Bekku. Chinnu Nammaswamy Bekku is orange with white stripes. Chinnu Nammaswamy Bekku likes to eat fish and chicken. Chinnu Nammaswamy Bekku loves to play with a yellow ball. At night, Chinnu Nammaswamy Bekku snuggles up in the bed.
What a cute cat, ma'am. But isn't his name very long?
That's true. I am growing tired of calling his name every time I speak about Chinna Nammaswamy Bekku.
Is there another way to talk about Chinnanama Swambekku without saying his name all the time?
I'm glad you asked, Vijay. Yes, there is. It's called pronouns.
Pronouns? What is that?
Let me explain. What is a pronoun? A pronoun is a word that is used as a substitute for a noun. The pro in pronoun means for. Pronouns are helpful as they are used in place of nouns. This means that we don't have to keep repeating the same nouns again and again in a sentence.
But how do we identify a pronoun in a sentence?
Good question. Amit is tall. He is tall. We can
can simply ask who or what performed the action and find either a noun or pronoun. Amit is Asha's brother. He is tall.
Who is tall?
Amit. Here is the noun. You can replace that with he, a pronoun. Let me give you some more examples. Murli is going to adopt a dog. He wants a dog that is small in size. Now, in the second sentence, we can ask who wants a dog that is small in size and know that he is the one performing the action. However, we can also point back to the previous sentence to know that Murli is the noun that the pronoun he refers to. We and they are used to replace plural nouns. Anil and Sunil are packing their bags. They are going to Mysuru tomorrow. I will attend the party with you. When will we leave for the party? Here is a description of pronouns. The girl in two ponytails wearing a blue dress is me. So we say I. When I am pointing at a boy, I say he. When I am pointing at a girl, I say she. When I am pointing at a dog or any other thing, I say it. When I am talking about myself and another person or another few people along with me, I say we. When I am talking about two or more people, I say they. When I'm talking to somebody who are in a group, I say you.
Question time.
Write the appropriate subject pronoun. My brother and his friend practice music every day. Dash are musicians. Options: you, they, we, and she. Check your answer.
My brother and his friend practice music every day. They are musicians.
If you answered they, you are right.
Now, let's look at some ideas to help us learn subject pronouns in the classroom.
Yay!
Now, here is a pronoun puzzle. If you see, all these are connected with images and their respective pronouns. Teachers can use this as a transaction idea in the classroom where you can have an image just like this and you cut it in such a way that your students will be able to join the puzzle and revise what pronouns are. Let's look at another classroom transaction idea. Here it is a game-based learning to revise I, we, and you. Teach the children to do the corresponding action for each of these words. For the word I, they point at themselves. For the word you, they point at someone else. However, when you say the word we, they need to run around the classroom, form into a group of two or more students. Let's look at another classroom transaction idea. Here we do a game-based learning to revise the pronouns I, we, and you. Teach the children to do the corresponding action for each of these words. For the word I, they point at themselves. For the word you, they point at someone else. However, when you say the word we, they need to run around the classroom to form into a group of 2 or more students. Do you know there are other kinds of pronouns?
Really? What are they?
Let's keep learning. An object pronoun replaces the object in the sentence. Object pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. Examples: the teacher praised me. How many times did you call her?
Gift.
Is for us. Here, in these sentences, me, her, and us are object pronouns. Here is a transaction idea to play pronouns bingo in the classroom. Teachers would need to hand the bingo cards to the learners. Now, each bingo card will contain a different combination of object pronouns. You would have to read out the sentence containing object pronouns one at a time. When the learners spot an object pronoun being read aloud on their bingo cards, they must scratch or circle it. The learners who complete a straight line first, either vertically, horizontally, or diagonally, will win the bingo game. And this sounds like fun. Another idea is to give it to him, her, or them. Ask your learners to sit in a circle or stand scattered around the classroom. Hand an object such as a ball or book to any learner and give the instruction: give the ball to Simran. Give it to her. Now, ask the first learner to instruct the next learner to give the object to another person. For example, Simran will say, give the ball to Bindu or Bubbly. Give it to them. The next learners will say, give the ball to me. And this way, you can help them revise these pronouns.
Question time.
Which of the following statements is correct? Options: Maria gave their cookies. The lion attacked he. Me is studying for the test. Pragnya gave us a bouquet of flowers. Check your answer.
Pragnya gave us a bouquet of flowers.
If this was your answer, then you're correct.
Now, let's discuss possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns refer to a thing, person, animal, or place and its owner. They show who or what belongs to someone. Possessive pronouns in English are mine, yours, his, hers, ours, and theirs. Example: the t-shirt is mine. A house is theirs. we do not use its as a possessive pronoun. Now let's look at another classroom transaction idea. Here it's called an object box. Now what we need to do is pass a box around the class and ask learners to place any one of their objects in the box. Once it is done, keep the box in front of the class and call learners one at a time. Pick the object and ask them, "Is this yours?" If it is theirs, they reply and say, "Yes, it is mine." If it isn't theirs, they will say, "No, it's not mine, it's hers or his," and point it to the person whose object it is. Now here is another activity. Now this involves a dice and a printout. First, we need to take a print of the board game and dice. Then ask the learners to roll the dice. Based on the square on which they land, ask them to form sentences using
possessive pronoun.
in the form of either a statement or question. For example, say that the learner lands the number 3. So the learner has to complete that statement. When Rakesh turns 18, that house will be. Now, the student has to give the correct answer. Here, the answer will be his. Then we give the dice to another student. And if the student lands on, say, number 6, so you say, "Your parents are more stricter than," and wait for the student to tell the correct answer. In this case, the correct answer is mine. If the student is able to say the correct answer, he moves ahead. Now, for example, what if one student lands the same number twice? Then you move on to the next sentence in the box.
Question time.
Fill in the blanks with the appropriate possessive pronoun. The little girl shouted, "Give the toy to me. It is dash." Like your answer.
The little girl shouted, "Give the toy to me. It is mine."
If this was your answer, then you're correct.
Now let's look at what relative pronouns are. A relative pronoun connects phrase to the rest of the sentence. Commonly used relative pronouns are who, that, which, and whom. Let's look at a few examples. I really wanted orange juice, which is why I went to the store. Chetan, who is buying his first house, is looking for new furniture. Which dog did you want?
Question time.
He lives in a building. Dash has 50 floors. Options: which, who, where, and when. Check your answer.
He lives in a building which has 50 floors.
If this was your answer, then you're correct.
Now let's look at a transaction idea for a relative pronoun. Now here is pass the pronoun. We start the activity with a book in your hand. You give a statement to your learners like the book and have them pass the book around the room. Ask the learners to stop passing the book after a few seconds. Instruct the learner who is holding the book to complete the statements using a relative pronoun. For example, the book which I read yesterday was very interesting. The same learner should then give another incomplete statement and pass the book around. For example, my friend who. When the book is passed around, after a few sentences, you have to instruct them to stop. Now, whoever gets the book next should complete the statement using an appropriate pronoun. Here in this case, it will be my friend Chinmay, who is an author, published his new book recently. Now let's look at demonstrative pronouns. A demonstrative pronoun stands in place of a specific thing or person, such as this, that, these, and those. It's typically used when speaking about a noun. It could be an object, a person, or an animal that is physically there. This is your gift. That is my house. These are Badra's shoes. Let's look at singular demonstrative pronouns. Now, a girl is standing close to me and is my friend. So I say, this is my friend. If I have a boy and a girl standing close to me and they are my friends, I will say, these are my friends. If my friend is standing far away from me, I point to her and say, that is my friend. Now, if I have two friends who are standing far away from me, we use the plural form of the demonstrative pronoun, that is those, and I say, those are my friends. Coming to another classroom transaction idea. Now, this is an interesting one. You can draw this on the floor of your classroom, or you can even draw this on a big newspaper. What we need to do is ask the learners to roll the dice. Now, based on the square on which they land, ask them to form a sentence using a demonstrative pronoun in the form of either a statement or a question. For example, if they roll the dice and it lands on 2, they have to make a question using the word those. For example, are those cats yours? You can keep playing this game till your learners get acquainted with the demonstrative pronouns.
Question time.
Don't touch the dishes over here. Dash are dangerous. Select a demonstrative pronoun. Options: it, these, we, and she. Check your answer.
Don't touch the dishes over here. These are dangerous. These.
If this was your answer, then you're correct. Prepositions. Children, do you remember my cat?
Yes, ನಿನ್ನೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬೆಕ್ಕು. Yay, Timmu! How cute! Timmu the ಬೆಕ್ಕು.
I'm glad you enjoy his company, dear children. Now, what were we about to learn today?
Prepositions, ma'am.
You mean prepositions? Yes, very good, Sham. We are going to learn prepositions. Suddenly, Miss Nina had a thought. Children, I want you to observe Chimu. He's a very naughty cat. Can you tell me what he is doing?
He is playing, ma'am.
Can you tell me where he's playing, Raj?
The chair, ma'am.
Yes. If you want to tell me exactly where he is, you will tell me he is on the chair. On is a preposition, one of many words that help us find out where something is, when something happened, or in which direction it is happening. Let's take preposition adventure.
Yay! Yes!
Welcome to the world of prepositions. Prepositions, words used before a noun, pronoun, or noun phrase to show their direction, time, and location. Prepositions are like position words. They help us understand where things are, when things happen, and how things relate to each other. For example, the bee is on the flower. The bee is on the flower. In this sentence, bee is the noun and the flower is a noun too. And on is the preposition. Let's look at some more examples of preposition or position words. The birds are flying away. The deer drinks water in the morning. I am standing at the river. Here is an introduction to prepositions using a box and a ball. Let's look at all the sides of a box. Here is in the front of the box. This is next to the box. Here, the ball is above the box.
You know, children, that there are many different kinds of prepositions. Let us learn some.
Let's look at the different types of prepositions. First, we have prepositions of time. Prepositions of time tell us when things happen. For example, I woke up at 6:30 a.m. We had a sports day in the month of July. We have math and English on Friday. Next, let's look at some prepositions of time. At, in, on.
Let's see how we can practice prepositions of time.
Now let's make a schedule using preposition of time. Now let's say we have our annual day on the 12th of February. Now we need to make a plan. So we can say our annual day is on the 12th of February. We have practice at 4 p.m. every day. Now, we can also make a schedule to say that, okay, for our dance practice, we will have practice at 6 p.m. on Thursdays or at 4 p.m. on Fridays. We can start our dress rehearsal in the month of January. So, here, with the help of preposition of time, we can say on a particular date. For example, on the 12th of February, at a particular time, at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., or 7 a.m. We can say in when we talk about a month. That is, we start dress rehearsals in January. We have our annual day in February. This is a way where we can help schedule an event, schedule all the things for the event, and practice preposition of time.
Now, let's learn about prepositions of direction.
Next, we look at prepositions of directions. Now, prepositions of directions are words that help us understand where something is going or moving. We use the words to, from, up, and down. Here are some examples of preposition of direction. The puppy jumped from the other side of the river and came to me. Yes.
Now, let's see how we can practice prepositions of direction. Create 3 stations in your classrooms, namely station 1, 2, and 3. And just like a train here moves from station 1 to station 2. And then a train of children can move from station 2 to station 3. Train moves across all the stations. Make sure that the children form a line and move like a train.
Next, let's look at prepositions of locations. Now, prepositions of locations are words that help us describe where something is. They tell us the position or place of an object or person. Here are some simple examples. We use the word under, in between, in front of, behind. Now let's look at a few sentences. The sun is behind the clouds. The deer was hiding in between the trees. Now she is in front of me.
Here's a small TLM idea for you all. We cannot necessarily bring a cat to the classroom every time, so TLMs can definitely be used to teach and introduce the very concept of prepositions and teach students what the correct, appropriate usage of prepositions are. This TLM is called Match the Card. So we can divide the class into 2 groups of students and hand out one group of students pictures of cats in a box, under a box, or between boxes. And the other group can be given out cards or word cards where sentences like these are written. The cat is under the box, the cat is between the box, and the students start wondering what to do now. You must ask the 2 groups of students to match with their pairs in the other group. run around the class and match with sometimes the correct one or sometimes the wrong one. Having to do this with their pairs, having to do this amongst themselves as students, moving around the classroom will create an experiential activity and will help the students to remember what the correct and wrong usage of the words under, between, above, or across are. Now that we've come to the end of our module, let's try and see where we can find the resources we've been talking about to you all throughout our module. You will find it on our app, Teachopia. Once you download the app and open it, it will show you a home page. And once this screen appears on your mobile phones, you can click on the content button right below. The content will lead you to two kinds of content: curricular content and other content. You can choose the grade that you want to prepare on. Once you do so, it will open to the various subjects that are available: math, EVS, and English for fourth grade. When we choose English, we're going to get a list of chapters available for the subject and the grade. Once you choose your grade and your language and the chapter that you require, you will be given a list of resources like concept guide and lesson plans, which are both available in English and Kannada, and the newest edition called audio visual resources. This is what we've been telling you all throughout our module. These resources will lead you to three kinds of audio visual files, which are hard words, poetry recitation, and story reading. Clicking on those will lead you to videos that you can use in your classroom to explain hard words, to have their right kind of pronunciation. You can also use them to recite poem with the right kind of intonation and have the story read out for the children in the form of a video. This is me and Chinnamaswamy Bekku signing off. Thank you.